Daniel Ricciardo has made it official. He won't race in Formula 1 next year. We'll be hearing from his agent and the man himself about his decision and what has brought him to this point. Is he looking at driving in other leagues, or is he simply eyeing 2024 for an F1 return instead? We'll be letting you in on all of the details as the video progresses, so be sure to stick around till the end. So he really won't be racing in 2023? Is Ricciardo done with Formula 1? By now, you should know the story, since it was a key part of the drama surrounding Oscar Piastri this year. Ricciardo was fired by McLaren back in August, a year before his contract was set to expire, and since then, he struggled to find a seat anywhere else. For a while, it was looking like Alpine would be a nice cushy spot to land for a driver who has 8 victories to his name, and it's known that he was in some early talks, feelers sent out between the two parties shortly after he was given his notice by McLaren. But that team had some hesitation to sign him after the manner in which he walked out on them in 2020. And on Saturday, the announcement was made that they had instead gone with Pierre Gasly from AlphaTauri to fill their vacant seat. With the only remaining seats being reserved spots with Haas or Williams, Ricciardo finally admitted that he simply won't be racing in 2023. And now he's reshifted his concentration towards getting a spot towards the front end of 2024. He stated in a press interview, quote, "I think the reality is now I won't be on the grid in 2023. I think it's now just trying to set up for 2024, end quote. He added that he was aware of the Gasly news and knew they were interested in Pierre, so the announcement did not blindside him, and he was already braced for it when it broke. Ricciardo noted, hopefully, that there might be some better opportunities in 2024, and so he's focusing on that. Is it true that organizations outside of Formula 1 have tried to seek Ricciardo's services? Any chance he races for NASCAR? Even so, Ricciardo has made it clear that he isn't done with Formula 1 and has no interest at this point in messing around with racing in other categories if it serves to risk his career with Formula 1. This comes after news has broken in recent weeks about overtures the driver has been sent from both NASCAR and IndyCar teams. The same NASCAR team that signed Kimi Räikkönen after his F1 retirement sought to do the same with Daniel Ricciardo, not long after his premature departure from McLaren. He said of this that the plan is very much still to be involved in Formula 1 and considers his career to simply be on pause at the moment. He says that as far as his F1 career goes, the full intent is to make a return in 2024. He said that while it could open up some opportunities to perhaps do something new and race in another league, it wouldn't be worth it if that foray ended up deviating him from his ultimate goal of getting a permanent spot on an F1 team. He said, quote, "As fun or cool as it sounds to compete in something else, the truth is mentally I'm not there yet. I'm still so engaged in this, and I think a bit of time off out of a seat will probably do me good," end quote. Ricciardo mentioned that he'd prefer the benefits of a break from racing right now as well, instead of looking to stay busy elsewhere, and that he can say with confidence that his racing return won't happen anywhere else. So his manager has weighed in now? What did he have to say about this? Nyck is the manager behind Ricciardo, and he took to Twitter on Sunday morning to give his side of things. He said that none of this was about ego, unachievable demands, or a sudden lack of opportunity. He described Ricciardo as a man that had been dealt a bad hand and was looking to find the right opportunity now, looking to work with a team that embraces his unique set of skills. He ultimately wants to see him put in the best position to show the world what he's capable of. He noted that it's a different approach, but it's also a new day for the sport. The manager stated, quote, "Daniel's maturity and experience is matched by few on the grid, now more than ever. The Honey Badger will still be as close to the F1 grid as he can in 2023. He's not done, and as we saw this season, anything can happen," end quote. By the different approach, he refers of course to his hesitance to make a quick signing as a reserve driver, though many still do expect him to join a front-running team on reserve in 2023, and think that his odds of getting a full team seat in 2024 will be improved by that, rather than stepping away from the sport completely. His odds aren't great though. There's no great opening of seats on the grid coming as far as we know, as there are only around 4 to 7 drivers expected to come at the end of their contract for next season. These drivers include Lewis Hamilton and George Russell out of Mercedes, Yuki Tsunoda of AlphaTauri, and Zhou Guanyu of Alfa Romeo, all of whom are known to be reaching the end of their contract going into 2024. Meanwhile, Kevin Magnussen of Haas and Alfa Romeo's Valtteri Bottas are in the second season of deals that were only vaguely purported as multi-year deals. Additionally, Alfa AlphaTauri has only named Nyck de Vries as their driver for the 2023 season, so details as to whether or not he'll still be there in 2 years are murky. That means there's only so many potential openings, assuming everything remains as we know it now, and frankly a lot of these names, like Lewis Hamilton, are assuredly going to be offered a healthy sum to try and get them to stay abroad. However, like the manager implied, anything can happen, and that's something that Ricciardo knows all too well. His contract was terminated early, and in this cold world of ours, the same can certainly happen for anyone else that a team deems expendable. That's why Ricciardo and his manager have seemed to have adopted a bit of a wait-and-see approach, rather than commit to anyone, because really, who knows what job could spontaneously open up right in time for him. That said, Ricciardo is aware that his sabbatical could go from a temporary pause to a permanent end if conditions don't pan out well for his return. His career suspension comes at a point where he is the most experienced Australian Formula One racer in history, as he'll have managed 232 starts by the season's end. Throughout his career, he won a Grand Prix on 8 different occasions, putting him at the 39th all-time winning list. He's also made it to 32 podiums and 3 pole positions. Even so, given his abilities, these accolades seem to be looked at as a bit of underachievement, and he hasn't accomplished too much in his time at McLaren. How did he get to this point? What brought him to such a difficult spot? Defenders would say that Ricciardo, like many, is a victim of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The man from West Australia first came to prominence in 2014 with Red Bull Racing, after completing a 2.5-year development cycle with HRT in Toro Rosso, battling it out with reigning world champ of the day, Sebastian Vettel, in a single-year intra-team rivalry. The future looked bright back then, but the team wasn't able to recapture its championship-winning fortunes from the early turbo hybrid days, leaving Ricciardo to scratch and claw for any win he got. Once Max Verstappen, you may have heard that name before, joined the team in 2016, that was the beginning of the end for Daniel. He did manage to keep pace with him until a notoriously problematic 2018 season, and naturally the team was eager to build around the generational talent that had fallen into their midst. The two's crash at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which most blame on Verstappen, but the team forced both drivers to apologize for, ended up being a big factor in Ricciardo's eventual departure. He then signed a stunning deal with Renault, but struggled in his first season with the team, owing to poor car development and personal difficulty in adjusting to new machinery. During the pandemic shutdown the following year, he opted to leave house for McLaren in 2021. The car there was said, even by Verstappen himself in interviews, that the car just wasn't suitable for his driving style. After all that, now he's in a bit of a Formula One limbo at the moment. We'll have to wait and see where he ultimately lands, if anywhere at all, in 2024. And that's all the time we have for today's video. Where do you expect Ricciardo to end up for his return season in 2 years? Or do you think this might be a sad, sputtering end for the driver, and he won't end up finding a new seat at all? Be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And until next time, thanks for watching.